In the same week, my son married without telling us. A court letter lay on this table in this room, asking if I was too confused to manage my own life. The letter sat on this table like it knew more about me than I knew about myself. I'm Miriam, keeper of calm boundaries. In this room, I try to stay steady when other people are not. My husband Victor sits in this chair beside me, his hand resting near mine, not pushing, not pulling. We both stare at the words, "In the matter of Miriam Hale." I feel my heart beat hard, but my head stays clear. This paper says someone thinks I need a stranger to run my life. I know who that someone is before I even turn the page. 2 days before this letter came, my phone lit up on this table. Photos. My son Daniel and his partner Mara under string lights, hands raised, rings shining. "We did it," the caption said. We kept it simple. No call before, no invite, no date saved on our calendar. Victor was out walking, so I sat in this room alone with my blue dress still hanging in the closet. I had bought it for the wedding that never needed me. When Daniel finally called later, he said, "We didn't want a big show, Mum. You understand." I said very little, but inside, I started to count. That night, I brought a small notebook to this table. No poetry, no big feelings, just numbers. I wrote down every help from the last few years. Rent when they were short, groceries when the fridge was empty, extra money for just this month, a moving truck, a tooth bill, seed money for Mara's online shop. By the end, the total sat on the page like another kind of letter. Over $35,000. I looked at that number and asked myself a quiet question in this room. Have I helped my son, or trained him to lean on me instead of standing on his own feet? Victor came back from his walk, cheeks pink, bag of fruit in his hand. I slid the notebook across this table. He read the list, slow. "That's a lot of just this once," he said. I nodded. And now they had a wedding without us. My voice shook once, then steadied. "I don't want revenge," I told him. "I want to stop doing the foolish kind. Victor thought for a moment. "So what's our next kind thing that is not foolish?" he asked. We sat in this room and planned it together. No more automatic money, no more secret drains. We would move with care, not rage. The next morning, I took that notebook with me and came back to this room with a new rule. At the bank, I asked them to stop every auto payment that went to Daniel and Mara. I asked for a password phrase on my accounts. Now, if anyone calls pretending to be me, the bank worker must hear 3 small words. Calm, boundaries only. When I told Victor at this table, he smiled. "It fits you," he said. "And it reminds us?" I felt my shoulders drop a little. I was not cutting Daniel off from love. I was cutting my money off from confusion. That afternoon, I spread our own bills on this table. Taxes, lights, medicine, little gifts we give by choice. "First, we pay for this life," I said to Victor. "No more using our future to glue together someone else's plans." We wrote one clear promise on a clean page. We will not sign papers or send money without time to read, a calendar, and a budget. It sounded simple, almost too simple. But simple rules are strong when you actually use them. I did not know yet how fast we would need this rule. I did not know the knock was coming. The next day, the bell rang while Victor was out with our son-in-law Evan. On the screen by this room, I saw Daniel, Mara, and a man I did not know holding a folder. I opened the door only wide enough to invite them to this table. No one goes further now, unless I say so. "Mum, this is Travis," Daniel said. "He helps older people with money stuff." Travis smiled the way people smile when they have already decided something. "We hear you're overwhelmed," he said. "If you sign these forms, Daniel and Mara can manage things for you. Just temporary." I looked at the papers, but did not pick them up. "Overwhelmed," I repeated. Interesting word from someone who has never sat in this room with my bills. Mara set a warm pastry bag on this table like a peace offering. "We brought cinnamon twists," she said, voice sweet. "This is just until the wedding dust settles." I kept my hands in my lap. "The wedding is already done," I answered. "You two chose to do it without us." Daniel shifted in his chair. "Don't be dramatic, Mum. We're just trying to help." I took a slow breath. "You are trying to take control," I said. "That is different." Travis slid the forms closer across this table. "These give them permission to handle payments, so you don't have to worry," he explained. "Who said I can't handle my own money?" I asked. My voice stayed calm. "I am willing to talk about plans. I am not willing to sign surprise papers at this table today." Daniel's smile cracked. "You can't just say no," he snapped. "We counted on you." I shook my head. "Plans that depend on someone else's blind yes are not real plans," I said. "If you want relationship, I am here. If you want money, I am not." Then I stood up. The visit was over. That night, Victor and I sat in this room with our daughter Leah and her husband Evan. No snacks, no big speech. Just 4 people and this table. "They will not stop with today," I said. Evan nodded. "Then we go in ready," he replied. Together we wrote 3 rules on a card and left it in the middle of this table. 1. No surprise papers. 2. No money talk without a real budget and calendar. 3. If anyone uses cruel words, the talk ends. Leah added, "Even the soft kind of cruel that pretends to worry." We all agreed. We were not planning how to win a fight. We were planning how not to lose ourselves. Daniel and Mara came back the next day, this time without Travis. They sat at this table, eyes bright, voices careful. At first. Then we brought out the card. "No surprise documents," I read. "If you brought any, please put them away." Daniel frowned, but pushed a folder back into his bag. We talked numbers instead of feelings. They were behind on rent. They wanted us to cover months again. "I'm sorry," I said, and I meant it. "I will pay for 1 session with a credit helper and print job fair dates. I will not keep funding grown-up lives." Victor nodded beside me. Leah sat on my other side, quiet but firm. When Daniel called me unreasonable, Victor spoke at last. "Reasonable people can say no," he said. The talk ended when voices rose and respect dropped. I stood, pointed to the door, and said, "We can try again when there is a budget and calm voices." They left in a rush of angry air. 2 mornings later, another knock. This time, a woman with a city badge stood at the door to this room. "I'm Ms. Ortega from Senior Services," she said. "We got a report that you may be confused or being controlled." I knew where that report came from. I did not panic. I invited her to sit at this table. "You are welcome to ask your questions," I said. "And I would like my lawyer on the phone as we talk." I called Asha, the attorney Leah had helped us find months before. She joined us by phone first. then came in person to this room with her big canvas bag and quiet eyes. Ms. Ortega asked about my days. I showed my calendar on this table. Walking group, book club, tutoring at the library, doctor visits, dinners with Leah and Evan. I laid out our bills and bank papers, neat and clear. No missing money, no secret loans. "I'm sorry," Ms. Ortega said at last. "This looks like payback, not concern. I'll close the file." When she left, Asha turned to us. "They may try something bigger next," she said. "A court paper." Asha suggested 3 things at this table. "Change the locks," she said. "Add a camera by the door, and write a money policy you can hand to anyone who asks." We could not change the locks in this room, but we wrote the words here. Our money policy was short. 1. We pay our own bills first. 2. We do not co-sign loans. 3. We give gifts we can afford, with no strings. 4. We help with information, and sometimes one-time, written help with an end date. 5. If someone is rude or cruel, the talk ends. We taped 1 copy by this table and kept one in a folder. Clear words make it easier to breathe. Then the court letter came, thick and heavy, onto this table. Petition for appointment of conservator for Miriam Hale. On the pages, Daniel and Mara called me forgetful, easily led and isolated. A note from our pharmacy made it sound like I could not handle my pills. Later, the pharmacist told us he thought he was signing a discount form. He wrote a new note to fix it. Leah sat in this chair, anger in her eyes, but her voice calm. "They are trying to paint you as weak so they can hold the pen," she said. Asha nodded. "We will answer with facts," she told us. "Doctor report, life records, real people who know you in this room. The hearing itself did not happen in this room, but when it was over, we came straight back here to tell the story to this table. Victor and Leah had both spoken there, just like they sit here now. My doctor, Dr. Alvarez, had tested my thinking and written that I was clear and strong for my age. Our book club, our tutor group, even our neighbor sent kind letters. In court, I had said one simple thing. I stopped sending money because my giving had turned into someone else's plan. I am willing to give time and tools. I am not willing to make adulthood optional. The judge listened. Then she said the words that still sit in this room like a shield. Petition denied. After that day, we did not go back to normal. We wrote a new list on this table, new locks on the doors, a second bank just for daily bills. Note in our files, no one gets access to our accounts without Asha present. We kept our walking group and my tutoring. But now we watched for new tricks instead of assuming only kindness. Leah came by often, not as a rescuer, but as a partner. She read the money policy with us again. "This protects you," she said, "and it also protects Daniel from his own worst habits." That line helped me sleep. Boundaries can be a kind of love, too. Weeks later, the phone buzzed on this table. "Mom," Daniel said, voice small for the first time in a long time. "Can we talk?" My first urge was to say yes to now, to hurry. Old habit. I looked at Victor and Leah. They both shook their heads gently. "We can talk," I told Daniel, "with a calendar. Come tomorrow at 3. Just you." He started to push back, then caught himself. "Okay," he said. The next day, he came to this room alone. No folders, no consultant. He sat at this table and said, "I'm mad. I'm ashamed. I'm scared." It was the most honest start we had had in years. I took out a fresh page at this table. "Let's make a simple money map," I said. We wrote his income in one column, his real bills in another, his nice but not needed costs in a third. Streaming, takeout, little things that eat big holes. A few times he asked, "Can you just help this once?" Each time I pointed to our money policy on the wall. "I will pay for information," I reminded him. "I will not pay for your whole life." I did drive him to one interview early in the morning, with coffee in a cup by this table. He did not get that job. He got the next one. Slowly, he started coming by to mow the lawn and stay for soup, not for money. Now, when I stand up from this chair, I touch the edge of this table and read our money policy again. It is not magic. It just keeps us honest. If you were here with me in this room, I would slide a paper towards you and ask, "Which sentence is hardest for you to say?" Maybe it is, "I love you, and I don't fund that." Maybe it is, "We can talk when there is a plan." Maybe it is the small word that changed my life. No. Whisper it once in your own room, then say it again, a little louder, with your feet flat on the floor.